Welcome to Lore Bytes. In this series, I break down Overwatch story topics and lore topics for you simply and quickly, so you don't have to do the digging. For these videos, I round up all sources of known canon Overwatch lore and add some speculation in as well. If something is speculation, it will be flagged, otherwise assume all of this is canon lore from sources, which I'll cite as well. In this episode, we're simply investigating Talon, what we know about them, what we can speculate as to their goals, and why they're such a force of evil in the Overwatch world. Firstly, I'm going to start with a canon summary of what we do know about Talon for sure. They're an international terrorist organisation with some history in the Overwatch universe. Number one thing we know is a bit about what Talon have been up to. They've certainly been active since before Overwatch fell, and we see most of Talon's history through the prism of Widowmaker's story. Widowmaker is currently 33, meaning she was roughly 27 when the Swiss HQ of Overwatch was destroyed in an accident and Overwatch was shut down. By this stage, Widowmaker was working for Talon already. As we know, Widowmaker became a Talon agent while Overwatch was still active. This makes Talon a minimum of 6 years old, but probably a lot older than that. We know that Talon as a result were active during Overwatch's golden age, but Overwatch's golden age is 2 decades long, so we can't be sure exactly when they came into being or sprung into action during that time. What we do know is that they were significant enough a threat that Overwatch dedicated specific resources towards combating them, in the form of Gerard Lacroix. Talon targeted Gerard in several assassination attempts, which were all foiled, until they targeted his wife, Amelie, kidnapping her, reconditioning her into a sleeper agent, and then returning her seemingly unscathed, until she killed Gerard in his sleep 2 days afterwards. We'll save more of that story for my Widowmaker lore and voice lines video though. As well as knowing a bit about Talon's history, we also know what they are capable of, as well as their activities and operating methods. Firstly, we know from several sources that Talon have got some serious operational capability. They've conducted raids, assassination attempts, and operations all around the Overwatch world, especially in recent years, if we can estimate as such. Here's some examples of how extensive Talon's reach is as a terrorist organisation. They've been active presumably in France or Switzerland, or wherever Gerard and Amelie were based when Amelie was converted into Widowmaker. Recently, in Recall, they've been active in Watchpoint Gibraltar, so around the Mediterranean, when they raided the base with Reaper to try and get a list of Overwatch agents. For the Mondata assassination in Alive, we know that Widowmaker was deployed from a Talon dropship, and as a Talon agent, Talon were able to get into the heart of King's Row in London. In the original announced trailer, which is recently in the timeline given the Overwatch website blogs, Reaper and Widow attacked a museum in an unknown geographic location, and Talon here were trying to steal the Doomfist. Talon have also been active in Houston, Texas. We saw this in McCree's digital comic Train Hopper, when they were raiding a train to try and acquire a valuable unknown object, we must assume. Additionally, in the very early stages of the beta on the news ticker in Numbani, as well as in some Overwatch video assets, you could see that Talon apparently struck again in Detroit. Now, Detroit is the site of the Detroit Omnium, as we've seen in several other Overwatch sources, so there one might assume Talon were trying to go after potentially something to do with the Omnium. Talon have also been active recently in Ilios, Greece. When you start the Ilios map, if you listen carefully by walking into the top cockpit of the dropship, you can hear Athena announce that
over the past week, Talon activity has been detected in the area. It is my belief that they are attempting to steal the new unearthed artifacts from the temple ruins atop Ilios.
I'll speculate more about Talon's reach and the implications that might have in the What We Don't Know section. Another thing we do know is the kind of ways in which Talon operates as a terrorist organisation. Talon, as we've seen, are perfectly willing to kill innocent civilians and bystanders, as we see in Train Hopper. These people would have died for probably no reason at all. Talon have no care for collateral damage or the people that they hurt. We've seen them assassinate targets of interest, as seen in Alive, and as a result, I'd say they're terrorist in every single sense of the word. In terms of their operations, Talon can deploy aerially to many places, strike in many countries all over the world, virtually uncontested and with considerable skill. All of those points are interesting, and we'll also cover those in the next section of this video. Finally, it's interesting to have a look at Talon's technological capability, and again we can see a bunch of this through the prism of Widowmaker. Talon have some amazing technology. For example, Amelie Lacroix was neurally reconditioned, her will was broken, her personality was suppressed, and then, after she'd completed her mission of killing Gerard, she was then turned into a killing machine. Her physiology was altered, slowing her heart down, resulting in her cold or blue skin, and apparently numbed her ability to experience human emotion. Now, all of these are incredibly, highly specialist, highly technological things. Talon have got some access to serious technology and skills. One of the things that we don't know is how Talon are actually able to operate in the way that they do. Now, 2 key points in particular of their operations I listed before really interest me. One of them is in Alive, when Widowmaker is dropped into and flown out of the heart of London. That's not an easy thing to do. How are Talon actually able to do that? Are they bribing people? Is there government or corporate help? Stealth technology of their dropship aside, they must have potentially some kind of additional help to conduct these kind of operations in so many different countries, or alternatively, technology so fancy that it's beyond the military comprehension of all of these various countries. The second thing was in Houston, Texas, in McCree's comic Train Hopper, Talon basically do a raid in broad daylight against a train with many witnesses who are left over. Now, the media and police, as we see in this panel, are already blaming McCree before he even arrives. Did Talon have media control or some other kind of influence? McCree doesn't seem to think that it will make any difference what everyone on the train says against the media or the police. Now, if that's really the case, that's some serious media influencing if Talon are actually behind it. To summarise, Talon can deploy aerially to various places within various nations in the world, seemingly without any government or local peacekeeping authority standing in their way. How is this possible? Either it's a complete breakdown of law and order, amazing technology letting them do so, or they have some kind of local or international help in each case. We're not sure of any evidence for any of those answers, but it's going to be an interesting question to answer. The next question is, where do Talon get all of their technology and kit from? As we've already stated, they've got some serious technology and some seriously scientific stuff going on. Not just anyone, I think, could run a neural reconditioning program, for example. So, again, where did all this come from? Do any of the corporations of Overwatch hold the answers, or is it simply just all stolen? As another dimension, we know that Talon have got some links with Blackwatch due to both McCree recognising the tactics of the trainjackers as being Blackwatch from his playbook apparently, and of course Reaper's current presence in working with them. Is some of this technology stolen Overwatch equipment or otherwise? A final thing that we really don't know about Talon is at the moment precisely why they exist and what their aims are. I've tried to look for some patterns in their activities to try and get some understanding of what they might be trying to achieve. For example, one of the things that we can see as a thread for Talon is that they're stealing stuff. Apparently they're stealing Ilios artifacts, whatever the item was on the Houston train, the Doomfist of course from the original opening cinematic, and in Recall it was the list of all Overwatch agents, operatives and locations. I like to think of that as kind of the knock list from Mission Impossible. Here's some ideas that might explain these thefts. One of them is very obvious: funding. Another question that we could have posed is, how does Talon actually afford to operate? So selling of rare artifacts, technology, this certainly could help with that kind of thing. It may even explain Ilios very easily. The next thing is this Overwatch list. Now, obviously this list helps Reaper with his apparent bio goal, if you look on the website, of killing ex-Overwatch agents. We don't know why Reaper's doing that, of course. Why would Talon help with this? Well, it certainly eliminates possible Talon opposition. Is there any deeper reason? No Overwatch resurrection of any kind, even though Overwatch is currently shut down, would certainly be a good thing for Talon. Perhaps it's that simple, but who knows? Maybe we'll find something out about Reaper's motivations and how that ties in with Talon in future. The third theft of interest is the Doomfist. Now, obviously a weapon of that magnitude, apparently it could level skyscrapers, it could be sold, it could be tech that could be used or refitted, maybe even re-engineered to serve Talon. One of the Doomfists could level skyscrapers. I'm pretty sure that's an ability a terrorist organisation would like to have on their side. The other thing we've seen Talon doing are these assassinations and kind of raids, all with some Omnic ties and influence. So in Alive, for example, why would they kill Mondata? Killing Mondata increases Omnic and anti-Omnic tension. It does destroy a movement or severely hinder a movement in the Shambhala that was trying to promote and create more harmony between Omnics and humans. So the obvious question is, how does Talon stand to gain from that? Is it easier for them to operate in the chaos? Remember, according to Atlas News, there's currently a second Omnic crisis happening around the world at the moment, and particularly in Siberia. We do know that there are deaths in other countries apart from Russia, as shown in the news graphic. We also know that Talon from the early beta news ticker raided Detroit. Now, if it was the Detroit Omnium, why would they be doing that? The Detroit Omnium, by the way, is also mentioned in the news in a McCree article with regards to finding answers to the first Omnic crisis, and we've also seen a Morrison and Reyes fight there teased as part of First Strike, the Overwatch graphic novel due later this year. From these, it feels as though Talon has an interest, possibly, in human and Omnic conflict, or understanding the Omnic crisis perhaps in terms of cause or what they can gain. Beyond that, we don't know. We do know, of course, that Junkrat found a valuable treasure in the husk of the Australian Omnium. Could Talon be looking in Detroit for something similar? What do you think Talon's goals are? How do you think they're able to operate the way that they do? And maybe what ties do you think they have to Blackwatch or even Overwatch in the past? We don't know a huge amount about them, but that's what I've been able to piece together. I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories as to Talon's motivations and place in the Overwatch universe in the comments below. Thanks for tuning into Lore Bytes. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment below with what you'd like to see next, or indeed any topics or questions about Overwatch lore you'd like discussed. For more hero lore, voice lines and interactions, world and level lore, Overwatch gameplay guides, and much more besides, check out the playlists on the channel. I'd love to see you next time. I'm Hammeh, take it easy.